So good afternoon, everyone. As you know, my name is Firouzeh Taghikhah, and here today I try to talk a little bit about my journey as a data scientist and the work that I'm currently doing, and also I would like to reflect on the topic of inclusion and diversity in the field. I'm basically an early career academic, and I'm very interested in the area of data science for sustainable development goals. To start with, my interest in data science started from the time that I realized that, like, in high school, there is this course of mathematics and physics, and I really love to know more about numbers and the ability to analyze complex systems when you have some kind of logical thinking. After my high school, I selected to be an industrial engineer and like designing systems, but it wasn't a typical degree for girls in Iran. And like when I got admitted to this degree, it was less than 10% female in the classroom, and it looks like a little bit weird for me. I remember that I took the courses of advanced statistics and probabilities, and I really enjoyed them. And I got a lot of like insight about how I can make predictions about like some of the trends and patterns in the data. But like it wasn't until I started to connect these dots between data science and environmental sustainability that I become truly inspired. I was always passionate about nature and environment, and I saw data science as a tool that can be used to address some of those, like social and environmental challenges. So like some of the problems that could be solved by using data science, but that by that time was, for example, how we can reduce the carbon emission of transportation and logistic, or how we can like predict the air pollution level, for example, for the next month. And it was quite, an important topic in the Iran climate. While I didn't have, a very specific person to inspire me by that time, but like I was more motivated by the idea of using my skill and knowledge to create change. And I believe that data science has the ability and potential to be transformative, even like by that time or nowadays. And I wanted always to be a part of that change. So like my journey as a data scientist has been like both challenging and rewarding. I can't say that it was always like so good. After I completed my undergraduate, I pursued a master's degree in system engineering, and I ranked the first among all the students in my cohort. And I thought that, okay, like now I can, pursue my dream and get into the PhD. But like the situation in Iran for women is not that friendly, and I faced a lot of limitations and criticism, and the opportunities was not available to me. So I decided, okay, like if this is the case, then I have to leave this country and pursue my dreams somewhere else. So I started applying for PhD positions here and there. I got a couple of offers from different universities in different parts of the world, and I ended up here in Australia. I did my PhD at the University of Technology, Sydney, under the supervision of a highly cited professor. Actually, he exactly moved to the Australia at the same time with me from the Europe. Yes, and you can imagine that what you can expect as a woman, migrant of a different color, different language, lots of cultural barriers, like the language is different. It was the first time I was actually doing a degree in English. So like you can imagine the amount of challenges that I had by that time, but I was very dedicated to remain focused on my goals and to complete my degree and just like get it done. I was quite lucky and fortunate during my study, because I was granted two fundings, again as a PhD student, to work on two very exciting projects. The first project was about developing serious games and gamification for educating sustainable development, and it was quite a very exciting project because we could actually attract the international attention about the the use of gamification in education sector in general. And then we had participants not only from Australia but also a number of participants from the European universities. Then in the second project that was funded by the, this big consultancy, Ernst & Young, and also the New South Wales Department of Health, was about developing some kind of decision support tool to help the policymakers to decide about strategies for managing diabetes. And it was another fascinating experience for me, because I learned how decisions made at the department, and at the same time I learned about the confidentiality challenges, the ethic challenges around data that were related to health. After I completed my PhD, it was by the time actually I submitted my PhD thesis, I joined an NGO in the UK that was funded by the Oxford University, that we try to develop a technology for improving food security in Europe. And at the same time, I started applying for postdoc positions because I was very interested to stay in academia. I got a couple of offers for doing research in the area of data science, but as you know, I'm pretty much driven by the challenges that we face in the environment. So I joined the Australian National University to work on a national food resiliency project that was again funded by ARC, and it was in collaboration with the University College London, with National Australian Bank, GIZ Bank in Germany, and some other partners. But while I was doing my postdoc, my passion for teaching didn't fade away, and I start designing courses in data science for people who are in the School of Business or who are in the School of Computer Science, both at the University of Technology Sydney and the University of Macquarie. During this project, I learned a lot about how we can use, for example, remote sensing technology, and how we can use drones for collecting data in farms. And during that time, I also started applying for research fundings, and I was successfully got a grant from ARC, which allows me to develop my research team. So nowadays I work with 5 PhD students, 1 master by research, 2, 3 capstone or honors students, and we're going to hire a postdoc researcher very, very soon. But all these things was possible by the time that I joined the University of Sydney as a lecturer. So this position allowed me to, spend more time on establishing myself as a researcher, as an academic, not only a researcher, but what I'm working right now is beside my students project, which are more about bushfire management, digital twin for farming, and all those sort of ideas. My main project is about community renewable energy, which allows these people who live in remote communities to produce energy and consume it and be adaptive. And I'm also still working on the idea of resiliency in food supply chains, and also using data science for identifying and mitigating risk in disasters. So to conclude our today talk, maybe I can just reflect a little bit about the role of women in STEM. I'm, as you know, a supporter of inclusion of women in STEM degrees. Doesn't matter it's data science or engineering or mathematics. I can see a lot of potentials out there, and I can see that there is still some cultural barriers or some misconception about the future of females or girls. And I try to say that, like, if the opportunity is given, we can even outperform like those typical stereotype about male dominating the field. And I try to like prepare women or the next generation to be competitive, not only nationally in Australia, but be competitive internationally, like to be able to put their skills and capacities out there and just showcase and shine as they are. And thank you very much again for the Australian Data Science Network for inviting me to have this little chat with the audience. And yes, happy to take any questions.